There's a lot of excitement about the prospects this year, the way the Orioles have them spaced out. Let's go team by team and level by level.
Sure.
Pick out a couple of guys that you're choosing to break down. Let's start at AAA Norfolk.
All right, well, we've got a couple of guys we want to talk to, as you said, Jim, about each of the four full season levels. Let's start with Zach Davies, right-hander for the AAA Norfolk Tides. He made his AAA debut on Sunday against the Charlotte Knights. It was a good one. 5 scoreless innings. He fanned 8. This was a 26th round draft pick. He got an overslot bonus there in 2011, drafted by Joe Jordan. And he really pitches well inside with a fastball. His changeup is an excellent out pitch. Really a polished young kid, just 22. And he made a couple of spring training starts for the Orioles late in camp. So guy to watch this year with the Tides. And Henry Urrutia, let's not forget about Hank. He really is off to a great start, batting .444. He's a little stronger this year, Jim. Some of that pop in the bat is starting to come. The 2013 Orioles Minor League Player of the Year. A lot of good depth for the Orioles in the outfield between AAA and the major leagues.
Yeah, Urrutia is off to a great start. In 5 games, he has 4 multi-hit games already.
Right.
And what we hear, he's pulling the ball. Remember in 2012 as a rookie, he had everything the opposite way. Not the case anymore.
Well, you know, he's healthy. That's the big thing. I think he fell off the radar for some people last year, but remember, he was hurt. He had sports hernia surgery, and I think that derailed almost all of his season. But he's healthy this year. I was real impressed this winter how well he has learned the language. Henry really wants to fit in the Oriole organization, and credit to him, all the work he's done, not only with his body, but learning the language. Perfect English right now from Henry. Way to go.
All right, now the AA team at Bowie, of course, that team is important prospect-wise because very often a call will go down to AA. Hey, send somebody up. We need a player. What about your 2 players to look at Bowie?
Well, Dylan Bundy is going to top that list. He is still the Orioles' #1 ranked prospect, coming off the Tommy John surgery. Because he only threw 41 innings last year, it sounds like they want to keep him around 100, maybe a little more this year. So they're limiting his innings early so he has more available late, which could be in Baltimore if he progresses and pitches well. His start last night in Harrisburg was a real good one. Faced 10 batters. The only one that reached on an error. Brian Graham was there to watch it. Director of Player Development told me he was 91-94. He pitched down in the zone well. The secondary pitches and the command of them is still to come for Dylan. That's one thing that does take time when you're coming off of Tommy John. Mike Yastrzemski, look at the numbers he has put up, the 14th round pick in 2013. Man, did he fill up the stat sheet last year in the Oriole minor leagues. He led all of minor league baseball in triples with 16. And Jim, in addition to the talent that Mike Yaz has, he is really a driven individual. He told me at Bowie's Media Day, I want to play with a chip on my shoulder. He knows he was a 14th round draft pick. 400 players were drafted ahead of him, but he wants to prove some of the scouts wrong.
Well, he's 24 years old, and he played at a very good college baseball program as well at Vanderbilt. And the thing about Mike Yastrzemski, remember back to just spring training last month, Buck used him a lot. He wanted to get as many looks as he could at Mike Yastrzemski, and Yaz could care less if he was on those buses because if they were going to major league games.
Well, and of course, he's the grandson of the Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski, and I'm sure the Oriole officials are not unhappy at all that they got one from the Red Sox. He was drafted by the Red Sox out of high school, but he went to college, as you said, at Vanderbilt, and the Orioles are very happy that they have a Yastrzemski in their organization.
All right, let's take a look at Frederick. It looks like the Keys roster is Delmarva's roster from a year ago, or at least most of it.
A lot of players moved up, and it'll be a challenge for them in the Carolina League. And one guy to watch is Chance Sisco, catcher for the Frederick Keys. He is the Orioles' #4 rated prospect, according to Baseball America. Right now, he's day-to-day with an injury. He suffered a bruised hand Sunday trying to throw a runner out. He hit his hand on an opponent's bat, and it was bleeding and a little bruised, but he should be back in the lineup soon. But, Jim, look at that average, 341. That will play anywhere. Chance Sisco, great makeup, a real good swing. He's just 20 years old. The Orioles are very excited about his bat. They want to see his catching improve in Frederick. And he and Drew Dosh, moving up from Delmarva, will get a real challenge in the Carolina League. Last year in the Sally League, Sisco and Dosh battled for the batting title. And so Drew Dosh hit .314 in 128 games last year for the Shorebirds. A really polished hitter. He's got some of the best plate discipline in the Oriole minor leagues. You see that .371 on base for Drew.
All right, now I'm going to jump down to Delmarva, take a little extra time here because one of the more intriguing prospects in the entire system is on the Shorebirds, and that's 18-year-old Jomar Reyes. 18 years old. He could be a high school senior if he was an American player, but he's already playing every day in the South Atlantic League at age 18.
What an energetic kid. He loves to play the game. 18 years old, as you said, out of the Dominican Republic. Jomar Reyes is the Orioles' number 10 prospect, according to Baseball America. And look at the start he is off to in his first 5 games with the Shorebirds. And by the way, the last player I know of that played for Delmarva at age 18 was Manny Machado. And no way do we want to put the pressure on Jomar to say,
what the heck? He'll be here in 2 years.
He's going to be another Manny. But he plays a pretty good third base there. But 2+ tools here the scouts really like, Jim. Power and arm. And like I said, this kid's a high-energy kid. The Orioles are not only impressed with his talent, but they're impressed with his want-to, as Buck would say right now. And Derek Bleeker is a very interesting player to watch at Delmarva this year. 37th round draft pick out of the University of Arkansas in 2012. The Nationals took him the year before he didn't sign, but he is a converted position player who's now pitching. He was an outfielder when they drafted him, but he's pitched since 2013 for the Orioles, and he's got a really good live arm. He can touch 95. He's got kind of a fastball slider guy, and the Orioles feel like they've got something to work with here with Derek Bleeker. He's under the radar right now, Jim. He's not on a lot of those prospect lists, but if he emerges this year as they think he might, you'll see his name on some of those lists.
All right, Steve Melewski, everybody, follow him at massinsport.com, at MassinSteve. He knows more about the minor league system than anybody who covers the Orioles on a day-in and day-out basis.